Hello, welcome everybody to our webinar on soil health, plant health, and human health to be conducted by Dr. Ho Ting Sing. This webinar is co-organized with the STEM for All Maker Center based in Diamond Mall, together with the Eco Hub community, who are a group of eco enthusiasts, and we believe in cultivating eco-centric communities, community by community. So, without further ado, I'd like to pass on to Ramesh to say something about the Stanford Center.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ku. And firstly, on behalf of STEM for All Makerspace, we'd like to thank you for continuing with these initiatives. All right. So we had a few talks already, on eco and environment, and the response has been very encouraging. So when I spoke to Mr. Ku, I think I was a little bit demanding, in the sense that I wanted my entire calendar for June to be filled up. And then I realized that, wow, it's actually overwhelming, to be doing something like that. So, but in any case, Mr. Ku said, let's pace it out. So let's, go selectively. And so we're very fortunate that we are able to get Mr. Ting to give today's topic, on the gardening and also on the use of, without the use of pesticide and so on, right? Now, STEM for All Makerspace is based in Diamond Mall, and our main objective is to promote STEM education. Now, STEM education is very broad. Of course, science, technology, engineering, maths, clear. But within that, you have environmental science, you have agriculture science, you have nanotechnology, you have space technology. So it's very, very broad. So like William has got a team of people who always talk about space technology, about aerospace, right? So through Mr. Ku, we are able to bring people to talk about the agro aspect of it, all right? So that's what's the relevance of STEM for all. Now, in terms of audience, our main audience are actually students and teachers. But then again, we also reach out to communities. So we also have got representative of communities, parents, residents associations also joining us. So in other words, for the benefit of Mr. Ting, our audience are quite broad. I see that we also have got a lot of people who are very much into environment and into agriculture have also joined us. I saw a comment from somebody from Malacca who says that she's very much into what do you call gardening, using this vertical gardening, sorry. All right, so these are the people that I think have joined us today. So for the benefit of Mr. Ting, our audience are quite broad, just to mention, and we are really looking forward to hear that, right? And my last word is that today's session is all virtually, but we hope eventually when things are back to normal, when the MCO is lifted, we will have physical activities at the center. We hope to have Mr. Ting to come and have a talk or maybe even a workshop. And we hope more audience will be able to bring your own projects. We would like to see that, we like to see your agriculture-based projects displayed at Daman. And Daman will be very happy, to collaborate with us and create little mini exhibitions or even bazaars in which producers can be sold, right? So we're looking into that possibilities by end of this year, if and when things get back to normal. All right. So that's basically to introduce to all of you what STEM for All Makerspace is about. Back to you, Mr. Ku.
Oh, thank you, Ramesh. By way of introduction to Dr. Ho Ting Seng, who is a Malaysian, he is recently back in Malaysia after spending many years abroad in the US and in China, Hong Kong. And he has created two new entities in Malaysia with very familiar names called Back to Nature Enterprise and Going Back to Nature's Neighborhood, which is focusing on developing healthy growing and living conditions for agriculture. So I think Dr. Ho has a experimental station in Kuala Pilah, and he has also got another farm, I believe, elsewhere, which I'll let him explain. Dr. Ho is also the president of the SATA Foundation, which is the Sustainable Agri-Tech Association, if I'm not mistaken, based in Hong Kong. And he can explain more about that, about the objectives and what he's planning to do with that association and the recent activities. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce to let Dr. Ho Ting Seng take the floor. And Dr. Ho, you may be able to explain a little bit more about your background better than me, because
Okay.
I think you able to articulate it better. So thank you very much, and Dr. Ho, please, the floor is yours. And please go ahead to screen share when you are able to.
The screen share, where is, oh, here.
Yeah.
Is it this one?
Yes, we
Okay.
see that now. Yeah.
Okay, you see that now. Yeah,
Yeah.
good afternoon. Warmest greetings to all the listeners. And my name is Ting Ho. Because I've been abroad for a long time. In Malaysia, they call me Ho Ting Seng, but when I was abroad, they call me Ting Ho. So I'm from Sitiawan, Perak, and has been abroad for a long time. So today, I would like to share the project I've been working on, and that is what I'm passionate about. So this journey has taken more than 10 years. So it is very slow, but I did it patiently. I will explain to you why. So the reason why I embarked on this journey is because of food safety concern. When I was working all over the world, I noticed that people have not been eating the safe food that they should be ingesting. So as a result, I took my own time to really understand how food is being grown and how it should be grown so that it can be a blessing to our health. So I will go through this part of the theoretical part as what Mr. Koo said quickly, and then we go down to the actual practice part. So, but I want, if you remember anything at all, I want you to keep this slide in your mind, because this is very important slide, and this is also the motivation for me to embark on this journey. So we have only one nature, that is planet Earth, and only nature is truly creative. That means it can go on and on, renew itself, refresh itself, restore itself, and it's self-generating. That's why you see the generation comes, generation go, and the resources seems to be inexhaustible because it receives the energy from the sun, and there is only one source of energy in this whole our own planetary system, and that is the sun. So sun is really a blessing to us as a source of energy. And on Earth here, there are 6 major players that we have to keep in mind. The basic elements are air, water, and soil. We cannot create air, we cannot create water, and we cannot create soil. So we are the living things on this earth, which belong to 3 orders, like plants, and then insect, microorganism, and the animal kingdom. So remember this, because I will be coming back to say how are these related. So you know that all living things are somehow interconnected and reinforcing one another. Plant health has influence on animal health, animal on human health, and then big ecosystem, the ecology health. The small world, the intercept of this thing, microbial health, all those are important. Now, from here on, I will go quite quickly. Now, soil health is how healthy is the soil, how the soil can support life, plants and microbial elements in the soil. Again, don't remember, soil is alive. Today, we are all talking about living things, right? Soil is alive. Now, here, the earth is part of soil. Now, popular perception is that, or misperception, it is innate, a substrate. It does nothing. If you want to plant anything, you have to put fertilizer inside there. You have to pour water inside, and then when it's done, you turn it over. You do again, you know. And then the new discovery, just over the last 30 years or so, increasingly so, that they discover soil is alive. Soil is not innate. It's not a substrate, you know. And our ecosystem start with soil, and it's the source of life. So now the soil is alive has a lot of implication. So by the soil is alive, this is basically we know that in order to do farming, we have to know enough about soil, the humus level, the organic level, and the subsoil level, and the bedrock level. Now, there are a lot of things living in the soil. It's almost a new frontier. You see, there are about 10 to the power 30 living things in this world. 78% are bacteria. And then how the scientists estimate the living cells or foreign cell is 10 to the power 30. They call it nonlinear, right? Because this, you see, the human being right now, 7 billion, is very minuscule compared to 10 to the power 30. So this is a frontier out there, and these are all alive. Now, living thing is different from inanimate things, be in mind. So you see, there's a lot of marvelous down there. You see these are the hyphae, it look like a highway, you know? And this protozoa look like submarine, right? And this living thing. So how to get the soil back to life? I mean, they need to feed on something. So what does the organism feed on? A lot of times they are carbon deficit. They're not enough carbon. Because you see, in order to make sugar, to make glucose, you need carbon. So carbon, while we say that there's warming in the air, it's only 400 parts per million. So only plant can sequestrate the carbon dioxide in the air and turn it into sugar, glucose, and then store it underground. They call it carbon sequestration, right? So this is what we have to feed it. I mean, all the recycling. Now, in order to achieve soil health, we have to look at 3 aspects of soil: biological aspect, the physical aspect, and chemical aspect. So here, beside food and agriculture, the soil performs a lot of other functions to enable us to live a healthy life in this world. So we don't think that the soil is inert, does nothing. But in fact, soil is very active and provide a lot of ecological services, right? The moment soil is dead, or the organism of soil, we will be on the verge of extinction together with all the other living things. So that is the warning, right, of to us, you know. Now, of course, how to get soil sick? Very easy, you know, destroy, you know, exploit and strip mining, take off the topsoil. Don't forget, only 6 inches of topsoil contain most of the living things. Anything below the 4 to 5 inches, that is very small amount of living organism. They may still live. In fact, there are living things all the way from the depth of the ocean to Himalaya, right? Or even in the air. About 5 miles of this deep thickness in the biosphere, but they are very thin life. So if we continue to do this, pollute the water and dust will come out, then of course the plant health will be affected, the soil health will be affected. Now let's go to the plant health. So plants living in the soil, and before the plant can live, the soil has to have a web of life to provide the food, ready food for the plant. So without food in the soil, the plant cannot live. So the condition must be there. So all this living thing, bacteria, fungi, nematodes, protozoa, anthropods, and all those things must be, they are the precondition to get the life going before the plant can live. Now, why do you need the plant? Because the plant is the only organism that can capture sunlight and turn solar energy to chemical energy and provide us food. You know, so you see the complex system. Now the bacteria colonizing the roots. Now this is the picture of how the works below ground, above ground. And this is how the relation between soil microbes and the host. And this is how the microbes go out to acquire the minerals and vitamins and all these things for the plants to live in the soil. You see the hyphae. And the plant is really sentient and fully alert to its environment. See, there's a lot of communication signaling going on. The plant can communicate, and plant can work. Friends, who are called Samaritan, come to help the plant to find the food for the plant. And the importance of plant health. We have to know that plant is the source of the oxygen we breathe. Now, the plant taking carbon dioxide through the action of the chloroplast, through photosynthesis, split water plus carbon dioxide into sugar and water vapor and oxygen, right? So if we don't have the plant, we will die because the oxygen is gone. Now they make up 80% of the food we eat. So if the plant is gone, we are closing to be finished also, because our food will be definitely challenged. And they play a critical role in achieving sustainably and all this agriculture. So it's absolutely vital to our survival. So the achievement of a healthy plant is challenging because new diseases, pests, soil degradation, and climate change. So we are not the only being. They are being challenged by climate change. The plant is also. So in fact, the plant and us share the same suffering at this moment, right? Then come back to human health. Now, this is what is most important to most of us, because we have only got one life, and then we try to have high quality of life while we are still alive. But our quality of life depends very much on the quality of the ecosystem and also quality of plant life and the animal life. Now, this is the human microbiome. That means small beings. These are archaea, bacteria, fungi, viruses, parasites living in us. Now, the whole human cell, the calculator is maybe about 1 trillion living cells, but there are about 10 to 100 trillions of these foreign cells living in us, around us. Now, what do they do? They are very, very important. There are only about 21,000 genes, for the human biome, human gene genomics. But there are about 8 million genes. They belong to all these microbial elements of microbiome. So scientists has discovered that it was this genetic pool from the microbiome that define our individual characteristics. So this is very important. So you see, this human microbiome is a new frontier of health. They live in us, all over us. And our gut's health, in fact, affect our thinking. Also, there are billions of microbia living in our body. I would say trillion, not only billion. So the bulk of them are found in our guts. And they exert great influence on our health. Now, later on, you'll find why plant and the human health are intricately connected. You see, this is our guts, You see, there's a lining. Now, these are the areas where the microbiome is found. There are many of them. You see, they perform many functions. They transform the food that we eat, and the drugs we take, even pollutant. Some of them into specialized food or vitamins, or this called B12, and all this only can be made by by the microbiome that live in our guts. And it also signals the host immune system under attack and all these things. So it performs many, many functions. So one of the very important part is called phytochemical. It's called plant chemical. So the plant chemical, when we ingest the plant into our stomach, it undergo transformation. That's why our gut is like efficient bioreactors. Can be a fermenter, can be extractor, and they can extract energy, nutrients. So there are a lot of things going on in our guts. So this is how the plant is related. So if the food or the plant that we grow are healthy, then of course there's strong microbiome, a dense microbiome. And then we eat, we also ingest into our system. And then don't kill them. So we use the biofertilizer, a friendly way of growing instead of killing. So the food that we eat is good. So we will have good health because you see, we get all the food supply of enzyme and the energy. But if the soil is not healthy, the soil microbiome is weak, very sparse, and very fragile, and very poor, then we will not be able to get a full-bodied nutrients. That's why just now Ramesh was saying that I think there's people in this sector are very interested in growing a food that is free from the herbicide, fertilizer, and pesticide. I highly commend you for doing that because you understand the importance of food as a precious ingredient to actually foster or maintain your health. So food as medicine. So now more and more people understand that the future doctors will be treating human beings not with drugs, but to prevent disease with nutrition and also probiotic, prebiotic, or manipulation of gut's microbiome. So again, the impact of food, nutrition, and health, consumption of processed food is no good. Loss of whole food in diet. You see, there's a lot of these trends that are gone. People eat a lot of packaged food and fruits and vegetables, whole grain, fish. These are the material that we should be ingesting, right? And also phytonutrients, the plant nutrient, antioxidants. Because as we live and work, our bodies suffer from oxidation stress, because we are burning ourselves out, right? So it has to remove those residue that come from the burning. So that's why antioxidant. A lot of antioxidants come from whole food, and then from herbs. The other one, prebiotic, is the fiber that we ingest. So fiber, we have to feed the microbes that live in our guts. So you see, all these organisms are interrelated to us to give us a health, to provide us the ecological services. So are we consuming the right food? Now here, I'd like to share with you a small presentation by China Daily. See whether it comes. Can you see?
See the link.
We all know that a healthy diet helps lower the risk of chronic diseases, but
sorry, let's start again.
Yeah, the video is not playing yet.
A healthy diet helps lower the risk of chronic
Audio
diseases. But are we actually eating healthier?
It's not showing.
Not showing, is it?
Yeah, we can hear the audio.
Okay, is it no video there, is it? It's okay.
No. We can play the end. Yeah.
Huh?
We'll play it later then.
Okay, you don't need to listen to this. Okay, now let's just move on. So you see, human health and wildlife health, because it's got zoonotonics, right? Because this is where the ecosystem health is very important. Because when the animal gets sick, of course, COVID-19 situation, right? So the ecosystem health and our health as well, at the beginning of this slide, I told you, are all related. Now, food is the main cause of death, because you see, we eat the bad food, then you heart disease, cancer, stroke, and diabetics. So it's all obesity, all these things. So the food is very important. So now, just this one summarizes to you how they are related. Soil health, human health, climate, environmental health, and the plant health. In fact, they reinforce one another. On top of the red one, it means that we should not continue to pollute and put in toxicity in the ground, because it will all come back to us. Either you go to the ecosystem, or you go to the animal, or you go to the plant, or you go to the water, or you go to the air, right? So now, that part, I think, is the theory. So now, what I've done, home garden, I start with a very modest one, try to find out, I'm not a farmer, so I find out, can I plant? So I live in this place on the 3rd floor, and then so I started with growing things in the bag, in the trays. They all grow without pesticide. But first of all, you have to choose the soil very carefully, right? make sure soil is balanced and soil is not does not contain a lot of these larvae and eggs of all these things. So I try to go and find the clean, safe soil, that there's no heavy metal, and do some tests. And then the plants are all growing well. The cilantro. And then you see, I also grow culinary herbs, like chili, paddy, and spring onion. The lessons I learned here is, if you just take care of the plant, there's enough sunlight to turn on so that they have photosynthesis and they have sufficient water, but you cannot place too much water because then you're flooding the soil. So the basic element of health for the plant is you need to have strong light, they can carry out the photosynthesis, so it has to be exposed to the sun at least few hours a day. Then it must be in every room, because the plant also need air. You see, you put in a place where the air cannot flow. Don't forget, the plant is taking carbon dioxide from the air, right? So this carbon dioxide, only 400 per million. So that means if the air is not moving, is dead, the plant will not be very healthy. Actually, that's why this airflow is quite important. Now, the other part is water. The soil must be able to drain excess water. The roots is living. If the roots is being soaked in the water for a long time, then the roots begins to rot. So when it rot, then it cannot carry out the function that the roots need to do, right? To actually, there are a lot of living things living along the root hairs. So if it is soaked in water, they are dead, so they cannot function anymore. So you see, now this one, I also tried this initially in this apartment, all this. Then I also grow back go to the backyard and plant this plant in the ground and see what happens. So if you do the same treatment, making sure the soil is drained, and you test the soil, analyze soil, it has all the necessary nutrients or support for the growth, they all grow very well, and they flowers, they bear fruits, right? Now this is persimmon, is also grow the same way. I grow at least 10 different fruits, to test out, see where they do all well. You see, they're different pitches, they grow, and they are very productive, and they don't get sick. So I come to the conclusion, if you want to have a healthy plant, you have to create an environment that this plant can live in a healthy manner. So the water you give them must be clean water. You should not go to take the water that is very polluted, that contain a lot of fungicide, pesticide, or heavy metal, and just thought that the plant is just a plant, as long as it got water. No, the quality of water, the quality of the soil and air does affect how the plant grows, and also disease condition, right? So you see, I grow, this is the fig tree, and I pluck the fruit and eat it, and it's very tasty, and it is very nice, soft. And I also grow different peaches. I pluck them and I eat them. I don't use any method like to quicken the ripening of these fruits. No, I just let them ripen in the natural way possible, right? So this is how then I also go lemon and kumquat. So they all perform well. So that gave me the confidence to think, how can I expand this experiment to a larger scale, right? So now these are my friend, again, another garden in the US. Now he, instead of growing on the ground, he grow it in a polyurethane bag with a lot of soil inside, so he can control the content of the soil, and he plant potato, tomatoes, spring beans and squash, and a lot of beans, and they all perform very well. So now that gave me some confidence. Say, okay, if they work in a small scale, let me try out. Maybe they also can work on the larger scale. So one of the things I do is two areas, Sling River and Kuala Pilah. Now, Sling River, I want to demonstrate how would the plant and animal, are they symbiotic relationship, or they are mutualist, or are they independent? Because most of the so-called aquaculture, they grow just in a pond of water. There's no plant involved. But if you go and see the stream, and then you have roots, tree roots go into the river, and then the water is always appear quite clear, right? So that's why I try to see what can be done, what the differences if we grow vegetable together with fish. And the other part is in Kuala Pilah. So start with a small experimentation on the tank, but you can do this. I mean, you can do it at home or any space, buy a 2,000 gallons, this called fiberglass tank, and then put the water inside and grow something together with the pond. You see, I discovered that this plant growing with the fish has this advantage. They have an exchange going on, you know, because the plant will suck out the called manure, fish manure from the tank, and then we flow through this, and the plant roots will filter through all this manure, and then will exchange gas, put oxygen inside, and take out the ammonium that's in the water out. And then the water is become clearer, and this called planktons can go in the water, right? So the fish is healthy, and the mortality rate has been reduced substantially. Because if no help is given to the fish, from the fingerling to the adult fish, normally you lose around 40 to 50% of the number, because they died along the way, right? Because of the high ammonia is toxic to the fish. So when the fish inject this toxicity in the water, they could no longer have the appetite to eat. They become sick, and then after sick, they died, right? So along the way, there are a lot of mortality in the place where you just grow in the open pond, you know. So this is friend, grow together. So then take this concept to the Sling River, and then begins to build quite a big scale and see whether this thing work or not. And it does. So I think because your video is not working, so maybe I just show the picture. And then this is the fish. There are a lot of fish in there, and also the plant will shelter the heat, you know. So the fish can live under a cooler area, and of course this pond is very deep, so the water can circulate well, right? And then of course grow big fish and a healthy fish, no muddy smell, and people are happy eating it, you know. And then of course you can also grow other fish like jade perch, you know, and any kind of freshwater fish you can grow in the pond. And then these are the fish you after cooking, after eating, and then all the comment is very good. People like the taste, the texture was good. And now I'd like to share this Kuala Pilah Ecological Farming Center. So what I have done on the fish, now I try to see whether or not mixed farming makes sense, whether small farmer can do anything with agriculture and make a living out of it without pesticide, fungicide, and natural, and also the synthetic fertilizer, all these things. So first I choose a piece of land. There have been almost abandoned for the last 15, 20 years. No one farm, deserted, you know. So because you cannot make a living by farming, right? So most people in Malaysia or small farmer has given up hope in doing farming at all. So the food is mainly imported from the Thailand and from overseas or what. But you see, we are not very careful, I think very cautious about the quality of the food that we ingest. So as a result, many places has become the cancer villages, The incidence of cancer has become very high, or toxicity, some kidney failure, some liver failures, and all this. I think it's time to be alert about the threat of food safety issues. So if we are not taking care of the food that we eat, sooner or later we have to pay a huge medical bill, right? So this is when the land was raw, so cut it down and burn it, because you have to develop the land. It took some money and took some time to get the land ready. But I'm very happy that it finally was done. Now this piece of land is only about 3 acres, so it's not very big. So, but I try to do an experimental station, try to find out, does it work, or how much risk is there to get into agriculture, and whether or not it's worth doing it economically or not. If not economically, then you will get folded out, or just teach them people how to do, and then see whether this is something viable. But I would like to share that for whatever reason, I think it's better for us to pay some attention to food safety, right? So I also built some greenhouses, because I know it's difficult to plant the seed directly on the ground without first developing the plants to a certain stage that they can live now on the soil. It's almost like sending young kids, right, to nursery, because I think when they are young, the plants are young, they are easily attacked by insects, by other living things, rodents, So you leave them for around few weeks, maybe in the nursery, where you take care of them, and you say that there's no pests, all this, and after that you transplant them outside, right? So this is how I see this thing. Now this particular example is Ulan Raja. So I take the seed, Ulan Raja seed, and plant it on the tray, and after they are planted, they have grown to certain size, then I will transplant them on the ground. So you see, this is how it all come out, right? So, and of course, I will harvest the seed for the next generation, plant again on the seed. So because you see, this seed, quality of seed is very important, because you see, most of the people have gone to buy GMO seed or what, seed supplier. I think we had to go back and looking at the loss of biodiversity. A lot of crops and a lot of plants we can no longer grow, because there's no more seed. And now less and less biodiversity is become a reality, because things go extinct, You see, so how are we going to make sure that we still have access to the nutrient that our great-grandfather, let's say our grandfather, has enjoyed? So in the first few slides I show you, biodiversity is actually a very good defense mechanism, because we need biodiversity and the microbial element with all the different kind of defense capabilities to help us. So we have lost 5 or 6-fold of those microorganisms in the last maybe few decades, right? And similarly, different plants provide different phytochemicals. So by not ingesting those plants or those herbs or those food, so our body don't have the opportunity to actually acquire for our body needs those valuable phytochemicals. Now some of them turn into polyphenols, flavonoid, and all these complex chemicals, but our body system need those ingredients to make the pharmaceutical product, make pharmaceutical for our own use. Our body can make our own medicine, right? That's why the medicine, the raw material is from the food. So we ingest the food, and then the bioreactor in our guts convert them into the defense mechanism that we need. So there will always be pathogenic attack, and then virus attack, all these things. But if your body is strong, with a strong supply of ammunition, so we can defend ourselves. So that is the reason why I think we have to start collecting seeds, the indigenous food, indigenous plants. They may not good to taste, but they are very helpful for the body, right? Now, you know that somehow our culture has looked up to the Western civilization in terms of food, but that is a big mistake, I think, because we should not be ruled by our palates, is it sweet or is it, if it's soft, is uniform, but really we should be governed by the phytochemical those plants supply to our body needs. So these are my fellow farmers in Kuala Pilar. They join me, and then we have a good time, try to work out and this in experiment station. So we plant and the plant grow. So there's a lot of a mix, is ambra grow, papaya, jackfruit, this nangka, and also langsa, and all different kind of things. And then we grow, jambu batu, durian, and it's just fun to experiment a varieties. Mango also grow well there. And then of course herbs. So I intend to try out maybe a few, maybe 100 herbs, for experiment, because you see, the herbs do provide us very fresh vitamins. And then the other part we are doing is trying to say, if possible, to restore lost species. Bioremediation trial. Now, this is conducted in the workshop. The ground is all rocky and sandy, so I just put the kind of biofertilizer and then biostimulant to grow in the rocky soil, and all the plants turn out well. So I grow some castry lime, I grow some lemon, and there's also harvest coming, right? So they look all healthy. So this is cucumber and pumpkin. They are doing well in Kuala Pilar, and we plant this pumpkin field. The pumpkin, there's no pesticide, no fungicide, totally organic. So we were told, my colleague told me that even you grow this organically, you go to the organic shop, you have to get a certificate. So we didn't have the certificate. Maybe we try to get some, and then if it is can be sold as an organic food, maybe we can have a better income, right? Now this is how our harvest of pumpkin, the first harvest, and they do well, but we didn't make too much money because nobody knows that we are growing organically, and so we have to sell them by the whole pumpkin. I think one pumpkin like $5, something $3 is there, less than each pumpkin is 5 kilos, sometimes 3 kilos, so less than $1 per kilo, right? But never mind. So because that is the COVID situation as well. So now I understand why a lot of farmers cannot make a living, because you see, if you make a lot of effort going to planting, unless you plant it for your own consumption, or you plant with a community that support food, it cannot be a feasible, cannot last, because no amount of money can go into this and continue to plant food in a safe way. So my appeal to the listener is that support your local farmer, organic farmer. You want them to support you so that you don't have to spend so much money in the hospital for all the surgery, for all the kind of thing. So just eat well. Food is medicine, right? So that is just my 2 cents worth of a recommendation. So you see, this also makisa, passion fruit, papaya, all come up, but these are all organically. But of course, we have to use organic inputs, right? Which is from the manure and from the compost. So you see, man does not live by bread alone. So we also enjoy ourselves and grow some flowers, grow some herbs, and have the peace of mind. So here's the end, is it? So I think in food growing, especially in the Subang Jaya and the community, you don't have to think about growing huge amount of food, try to sell to everybody. But if you can grow food in your locality, we don't need transportation, and you can serve it fresh, you can safeguard the phytochemical in the food. So it's not lost. The vitamin is not lost. The bioactive substance is still there. So I just want to share with you a little quote from Schumacher saying that we need to be small is beautiful because wisdom demands a new orientation of science and technology, right? Before, we always say we have to grow big, we have to go large, so unit price has to go down. But as long as food is concerned, you don't need to grow very big. You can grow in your backyard. You can eat the food that you grow because it's very precious. Now it has to be organic, gentle, non-violent, elegant, and beautiful. So this is my conclusion, that microbiome is the driving force for soil, plant, and human health. So they are ubiquitous, agile, and highly effective in maintaining our health and service us, in more ways than we can count. And the greater their biodiversity, I mean, better the number, different type, the stronger is our immune system to defend against diseases, and the sunnier is our mood and outlook. Now, why? Because they found out there is a relationship between our guts microbiome and the nervous system called enteric immune system, right? There's another brain, so they call enteric nervous system. So our brain, the central nervous system, our gut brain are interconnected. So it depends on how we feed ourselves. So if we feed our badly, so we have very foul mood, not happy. But if we feed our stomach well, our guts well, we will have a very sunny outlook and happier person, right? So being small and invisible does not mean being insignificant for the microbiome. So microbiome is expected to revolutionize the way we look at health. So now more and more research is now going on to see what is the role of this microbiome. Now you see, there's a lot of people begin to eat fermented food, and then these fermented beverages, because they found out that this enzyme, they come from fermentation, contribute to our defense, our immune system, right? So healthy food is not only good, but also supply needed phytochemicals, right? So this is the plant you grow. You don't need to eat a lot. A lot of people think that how much salad you need to eat, So it's about maybe 30 grams or 15 grams in some cases a day, that's enough. So city dweller and small farmer can physically grow some food. So home grown food is fresh, nutritious, tasty, and good for health. So working on the land is not just about food, but also coming directly into contact with different microbiomes. So thank you very much for listening in. And I really appreciate the opportunity to share this with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ho. This is a very interesting presentation that you made, and thank you for making it almost on time, like 45 minutes, so that we have about 15 minutes for question and answer. But I must say that, Dr. Ho, what you have done is present this whole subject, very difficult subject of tracing the importance of the microbiome, which is basically microbes in the soil, to the plant, and to human health. Draw the straight line and the relationship between all these three areas, not only in the theoretical manner, but in a very practical manner that you have demonstrated through your efforts that it can be done. There are a lot of people who have been trying to do this, I know, including universities and research institutions, but they are researching and continuing to do it all the while. And the problem is how a lot of these can be implemented in the homes, in home gardens, in community gardens, and in natural farms. So I think that's what you have achieved. And there's been a lot of questions coming up, like, for example, some of the slides you show, the peaches and the persimmons, are they grown here in Malaysia?
Yes, only the peaches not grown. The peaches are not grown in Malaysia. All the other tropical things are all grown in Malaysia.
All right. And there was a question by David Ong, I think, I can't remember, I'm going to see here who it is, about the condition of the soil. Do you do the soil test and the soil gets muddy and all these problems arise from place to place?
You see, I think, honestly, I tell you, Malaysian, they really do not care too much about soil analysis, because you see, everywhere they say the soil is good enough. The soil is dead. Right? I mean, you go everywhere, you tell people what soil, they say you must be out of your mind. What are you going to do soil? We just buy one truck of soil, one load of soil. The cheaper, the better. They never find out where is it coming from. You know what is inside there. So they may be finding a lot of diseases. You know what? Because unless the soil is clean and alive, you have a lot of things inside there. You know.
Yeah.
This called pollutants. You know, you see some country, if you put this tin tailing, right?
Yeah.
And this kind of thing, put the cyanide, arsenic inside there, you cannot grow. Because then you complain nothing grow inside the soil because the soil is so poisonous, the micro cannot live. So that one is dead, you know. So I think this is something that we have to address as a community, you know, because we have to change our mindset that soil is really alive and it support the plant. It's not that we support the soil, we don't support the plant, you know, because you see, a lot of mindset has to change. The plant is God-given also talents. They can do as good as they are supposed to do. No matter how you present, like your own kids, you know, if they are talented, they will survive, but you have to create the environment, right? So what we are doing is helping the plant and create the environment.
Yeah. So I'm going to let the audience ask you questions directly. We have actually over 70 participants on this webinar. It's a bit large to actually manage direct question, but we're going to try because I believe a lot of the participants like to ask you the questions directly. So who would like to go first? Please unmute yourself and identify yourself. And I can ask Dr. Ho directly. Anyone?
Hello, I'm Mr. Ong. Thank you.
Yes.
Can I ask a question? It's wonderful what you're sharing about the microecology and microbiome systems. What steps did you take to in all the nice photos of the cultivation of vegetables, including ulam raja? So I'm wondering, what are the practical steps that you take in order to cultivate a healthy microecology in the soil during or before you planted these wonderful vegetables? Thank you.
First of all, Mr. Ong, you have to look at the source of the seed, right? The genetics, you know, the right kind of strain. It has to come from soil mother, right? Mother plant, the soil source, the seed, the genetic is there. Then the second part, you have to cultivate in this called peat moss, you know, because I found out that you can nursery, you go to nursery, you can buy some peat moss. So that one is they imported from Holland. Malaysia tried to make some, but I think we are still trying now because you see, we have to take it seriously. So otherwise you cannot have the right kind of mixture. So then you put it in the greenhouse, let it germinate. I think when they are about 1 foot or 12 inches tall, then you plant it on the ground. And you have to prepare the terraces on the ground. Make sure that the soil and all these things, like what you say, you raise bed, the water is not soaked. You know, the ground is well drained, but the plant can grow. Then of course, you also need to take care of the moisture. And basically you have to water maybe once in 2 days or 3 days, not a lot of water, but just make sure that the ground is moist so the roots can take, right? So if you plant this way, the plant grows very fast. I think within 3 or 4 weeks, you see, it's already rising up very quickly.
Yes, any more questions?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I'm YK Chan. I am just as interested in the soil being the focus as Dr. Ho. Very well done presentation. But I would like to figure out with all of you here if we actually have a support group, because I see 70 people here all trying to learn something from Dr. Ho. But of course, just with an hour presentation, you cannot continue to grow the wonderful plants Dr. Ho has shared with us. And the enthusiasm can only continue if we have a support group. And I do see this in my own WhatsApp group. In fact, we actually have a group called Victory Gardeners that support each other when we have questions. And I personally as well, in my own community, continue to support even very young students so that they know what the soil is about and they can call upon me whenever they need help. So we would like to figure out here whether there's a support group that can be organized.
Well, YK, we can actually present the solutions in a number of ways. we can actually organize ourselves around an eco hub community, which we'll have in various places. And I think Dr. Ho has many initiatives in various places as well. I'll let Dr. Ho say his piece. And Ramesh as well is looking at some initiatives under the STEM for All Center. Maybe Dr. Ho, you can go first, and Ramesh.
Yes, Dr. Ho, please.
I think it's very doable because you see, number one, you can eat the plant you grow. See, that is the most important part. So nothing go to waste. Maybe it costs a little bit more, right? But it's okay. You know that you are eating something healthy. So we should support each other to eat healthy. To me, the best motivation is the community. Is everyone in the community is healthy? We don't need to suffer so much pain, and so much medical bill, and so much fear. So the benefits from paying a little bit more to support your local farmer and then exchange the food, that develop really good rapport. And in this world, even the microbial, the thing that cannot talk like us, they are finding friends, they live together and work together. So why can't we do that, support each other? I think to me, this is the best way to unite the people together. Just you give me food, I give you food. Don't forget, food is the best gift that you can give to your friend, right? The shortest route to your heart is to the stomach,
Yeah, if I can also just weigh in on that suggestion for the support group. Yeah, I think it's very timely. One, we have an Eco Hub community led by Mr. Koo. Number two, we have got so many experts, like Dr. Ting being one of them. All right, so we can play the bridging part. And this can happen at many levels. One is, of course, through the social media, where we can communicate through WhatsApp, through that grouping. But more importantly, I think the role that we can play through the STEM for All Makerspace is physical activities. I would really like to have a day whereby we can invite you to come to the center and to interact with the experts, number one, or maybe even do field trips. You see, one of the things that we actually promote is hands-on experience, or we call experiential learning. We can do as many webinars, we can do as many online, but it's nothing like getting our hands on, be it mud, be it earthworms, it's nothing like that. And I think through Dr. Ho's contacts, we can actually do field trips, and learn more. These are the things that I think the support group can play. And finally, another interesting outcome from the support group will be, let's say when we host a mini exhibition, all right, healthy food grown by all of us, by the support group. We can host it at our place with the support of Daman or any other places. And you can bring your food and we can share your knowledge. So the support group idea is very, very timely. And I think I'll discuss with Mr. Koo to see how we can park that under one of our initiatives.
And so, Dr. Ho as well. Yeah.
I welcome all of you to visit the Kuala Pilar farm, which is open. You see, I have no secret to keep, but I want to get this message out as many people as possible, because my mission is how can we use food as medicine? Don't eat medicine as food, We should not do the other way around. We should eat food as medicine and forget about going to very expensive medicine, because food is the only lasting way to maintain your health,
I totally agree with you. Actually, I'm a medical person myself. So is Dr. Zorina. The two of us actually have the same philosophy as you have. And we actually cultivate as well as look after the soil the way you actually do. Yes. I do vermiculture and I have Medusa-like earthworms. In it, I dig into the earthworms or the soil and the compost. They all appear like Medusa to me.
Bravo to you, my friend.
Yeah, that's a very, very good initiative. We'll be so pleased to come and see what's happening. Or maybe you can also share. I mean, through this support group, I would like the idea of sharing pictures and videos of what's happening at home, and we can learn so much through that as well.
I realize all of us have Dr. Ho's number, but I am not very sure whether we have Mr. Ramesh's or Mr. Koo's number. But anyway, we will all congregate on Dr. Ho's number then, if any one of you would like to be part of the support group.
Yes.
We should get this message out as quickly as possible, because I see too many people suffering because they didn't eat the right food, you know.
On that, can I commend you, Dr. Ho? I see your constant smile. I see that you're full of happiness, really. And perhaps that's because of what you consume.
Yes.
So to begin with, I think your guts are very, very happy.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So, you know, as opposed to looking at some of the younger ones, even my kids, for example, they're so moody. Now I begin to wonder, maybe is it because of all the processed foods that they eat so much?
Absolutely true. Because they start ingesting refined sugar very young. And then they will start doing called attention deficiency syndrome, acute attention deficiency syndrome. Because
Precisely.
we are not supposed to eat those things, you know, and we don't eat the whole grain food, and we don't have enough phytochemical, and then we don't have the color vegetable in our, and we don't eat anything that's bitter. See?
Yeah.
Because it's wrong, you know.
Right. Yeah. So very, very important. I think this is very, very enlightening, and we should continue with this kind of a series, you know. So I agree that in 1 hour, and today's session is just to get to know, together with my partners, William, and together with Mr. Koo, we will definitely look how we can continue this kind of a series, you know. Yeah, because I think it is so very important to educate the entire community, including the younger generations. With what you see, yours is not just on based on book, based on academics, because you have really gone to the farm, you have tried, you have experimented, and then you show what. So to me, that is the most effective way of learning, right? So that's a wonderful thing that, you know, so we will tend to gain so much from your years of research and experiment. So we should be very thankful to have people like you so willing to share, and very happily too.
Yes, it's my honor and my pleasure, and I wish everybody have a good life and quality of life, you know, through food.
Yeah, wonderful sharing. Okay, I think we are coming to an end. I mean, 5 o'clock. Mr. Koo, I pass it to you.
Yes, I have one more person who I'd like to call upon to ask questions. Mr. Ernst Schmidt. Schmidt, are you able to unmute yourself and ask the questions?
Ernst.
Ernst, yeah.
Thanks so much letting me sharing your interesting Malaysia-based professionals. I would not say experts, but what you're doing, you are professionals, because expert knows everything, but to do something, you need a different skill base on top. And I think this exactly was brought by Dr. Ho in this environment. For me, I'm very much interested. I'm not an expert, but also I'm not a professional, but I have a 97-year-old grandmother who is taking my garden with tomatoes and watering in the right way, and she knows exactly how much water these tomatoes need, even etc. So this is something, but is outside of my goal. I just have to look that there's enough water in our bottle that you can take. But I think it is a very important mission, and we started thanks to the inspiration of Dr. Ho, with the whole process from seed and soil to table and beyond, into health, wealth, beauty, up to well-being. So it has to be something. When I have spoken with Mr. Mateschitz, owner of Red Bull, he asked, said, Ernie, do you know what would be the best promotion for my Red Bull product? I have no idea. No, the best promotion would be when the people who drinking Red Bull knowing that they will live longer. So it has to be something in the whole span, from well-being up to the seed and soul. And then I know Dr. Ho is also a high-level mathematician, like my son, trying to follow him a little bit. And a mathematician with all this big data, etc., what would be around, because end of the day, you need some measurements, because whatever you're doing, you have to somehow measure it. And when you measure the whole chain, from seed and soul to table up to well-being, then the measurements are quite complex. And I would feel a little bit that would be a way. And I have invited Dr. Ho, saying I have booked the Austrian pavilion in the Dubai Expo on 9th of February 2022 and 6th of March 2022. And we will have this topic food chain in the whole chain is one of our topics. And I have invited Dr. Ho to bring all his experience, etc., into this. He will run this session. It is more than a session. We will have, of course, and when you see all the culture issue, etc., so we will quite, and you find very soon the program on our website, where Dr. Ho also is on the website, since he is basically, he started in Austria as our skiing doctor, so even he learns skiing, and therefore I think we were also good friends, because when he was sitting in the office of Fred Smith on mathematicians, also from FedEx, I was on this other side, close to the Sir Peter Ebeles on the TNT side. And of course, I don't want to do. And I am looking, I have tomorrow evening a dinner with a long-term friend. He is now the chairman of Spar. He was before 30 years in the board of Spar. He's a family company. He's the biggest Austrian employer. And I have tomorrow evening a dinner with him. And it could be that we come closer, because they have also healthy food is an important topic, like bio. And Spar has taken the leadership in biofood in Austria already against big German competition. And therefore, and they have also a committee of medicines professors about their own brands, that their own branding structure has also a healthy regard from the people as a healthy one, because this is a marketing tool also, of course. So there are a lot of topics, and whatever I have placed my question in the questionnaire, I hope I get answers. And I don't want, and I think, thanks so much. I am part here, not only of experts, but also about professionals.
Thank you.
Thank you. So are there any further questions? Otherwise, I'll pass to Dr. Ho and Ramesh to give their concluding remarks. No.
May I ask one shortly? We should have this process also in the trade agreements. When countries are making trade agreements, and we have a big fight with Spar against the TTIP, to getting not unhealthy American food in exchange that we export cars, keeping a negative balance towards the healthy of our people. So this was a big fight, and my friend from Spar was one of the top people, not only in this way. So we should also have a look a little bit how the trade agreements, like whatever, affect our healthy by unhealthy food.
Yes, thank you very much. Dr. Ho.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity again, Mr. Koo and Ramesh, for sharing the little thing I know, but I will work together with the group and try to get everybody to plant healthy food and eat healthy. So for the benefits of ourselves, our family, and also the country. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ho. It has been very, very enlightening to me personally, and also to our center. All right. I think one of the things that we discussed with my partners and my team is that we consider this as downtime, meaning there's very little physical activities that we could do. So one of the best things that we could do is actually reach out to the experts. So we're very fortunate that we have reached out to you, and our knowledge has been very, very much enlightened. And I like the ideas, I like the feedback that has been given by many of our friends here, those who participated. It's 75 over, which is a very remarkable number of persons. That means showing so much of an interest, even though we promoted it in a very small way. We did not promote this too big. We just promoted within our chat groups, and even that we had. And I like the quality of the feedback that we've received, and particularly the idea of continuing this initiative through a support group. All right. So here, I wouldn't want to do anything unless there is interest. Otherwise, it'll be seen as that's my vested interest or Mr. Ku's vested interest. So in this case, I see that the participants who want it, and therefore that gives us more motivation, right? So we have shared with you our Facebook link. I'm also going to share with you. Let me see if I can just try to paste this. Oh no, it's not working. We have a group now, a chat group. Mr. Ku, the one that we set up, the eco community group. Maybe we can use that as the support group. We can maybe rename that as the eco support group.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So let it be a chat group through WhatsApp, and then maybe we can have Mr. Ho to also come and give his inputs. But at the same time, we don't want to overburden him with too many queries. I know he's going to be busy. So we'll have to manage that to see which is the best. For now, I think we can use our Facebook, but we'll probably use the WhatsApp as a support group. All right. So finally, I just would like to make a few announcements. I've been reminded by my manager, Miranda, that I have to do some housekeeping to mention that please check out our talk on Earth Day. We had a few talks on Earth Day. And if you visit our STEM for All YouTube, there's quite a few videos up there. And also to announce that there's another upcoming event, so there's going to be a talk on this Thursday, or rather webinar. This is for kids, and this is going to be fun with creative kids, right? Beyond that, Mr. Ku will also give me some suggested programs. So please do stay in touch as we announce up and coming programs, right? So with that, I think I'll pass it back to Mr. Ku to do the closing and to sign off.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ramesh. We
certainly Ramesh,
yes.
I posted the chat group into the chat. See whether you all can get the link from there. I posted the link to the chat group.
Yes, that's the chat group, correct. I'm trying to link on it. Yeah, so yes, you can, those who say that you're quite interested in the what you call support group, this can serve as the support group for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll reach out to everybody to get their contact details and inform them of the links and share the recording, and maybe if there are further interaction, like questions we did not get to answer you, we can always relay that to Dr. Ho eventually. So we've come to 5:15 or almost 5:15, and thank you, Dr. Ho, for such a presentation, and Ramesh for bringing the STEM Center into all these and all the support given by your by all your colleagues. So with that, we shall end today's session. Almost 13-15 minutes overtime by 5 o'clock, but I think everybody was very interested, and everybody is still on, even though we have after time. I think maybe next time we should budget for a longer session with more interesting and with more details. So thank you, everybody. We'll sign off now and we'll end the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.